to another episode of the Forfeit Fatherhood podcast, a podcast for fathers, by fathers, with fathers, where we talk about the four pillars of fatherhood, which I consider to be faith, fitness, family, and finance. And we got another exciting guest here today. Actually really super excited to talk to this brother. You may have heard him on the radio. He's been putting out great music for a long time. And if you haven't heard him on the radio, you've probably seen him or 7 or 8 versions of him singing a song a cappella. And I know those who've been circling. My sister has sent me that video like 4 or 5 times. Like, yo, I know him. I've seen this before. But every time she's so excited about it. So I'm excited to have L Young join us today. L, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, brother?
Man, well, born and raised in the great city of Louisville in Kentucky. Moved out to LA about 20 years ago, something like that. 21, I think, to pursue my solo music career. And I've been, out here grinding and working with artists ever since, working with the likes of Stevie Wonder, Quincy Jones, David Foster, a bunch of artists and just living the dream, man, and just putting out records and just trying to reach my audience and leave an imprint on the world, musically. So yeah, that's pretty much me, man.
Yeah, man. I like I said, I'm excited to have you on here, man, because one, I haven't had any celebrities, like celebrities on here. And then two, I haven't had anybody drop like Stevie Wonder or Quincy Jones when they it'd be like people be talking about, yeah, Steve from the neighborhood, but not Stevie, not Stevie, right? So that's different. That's different. I mean, you guys are in for a treat. On your bio or on your kind of information, you put plant-based father of 7. Now that's obviously something that's important to you, since you kind of listed that. What is how is that journey going plant-based? Because I've considered it, I've dabbled in it. I never made it longer than a week though. So let me know how's that journey going?
It's really challenging when you live a really fast-paced life that's not regimented or routined. It could really be challenging if do your meal preps and you don't have everything set. And with a person like me, I'm on the road sometimes. Sometimes I'm flying here or I'm driving 3 hours somewhere to do a show and stuff like that. It can get a little challenging. You hit some hiccups, but for the most part, it's been very rewarding. I've seen the health benefits and quite quickly, to be honest. Because I remember when I first went vegan, within 2 weeks, I just issues of bloating and gas and just feeling just always just uncomfortable, just kind of just dissipated. I felt lighter. I wasn't necessarily lighter yet, but I felt lighter, and then all of a sudden I started, see my bone structure in my face and just stuff like that. I was like, okay. And I hadn't even really started working out and stuff heavily yet, but just getting the inflammation down from the dairy and the meat products and stuff, it really helped. And, it's kept me out of the hospital and not that I was going to the hospital before that, but I'm getting older, and it's like, you got to consider those things. Like, joints is cracking when I get up now and stuff. Just little stuff that's different from 10 years ago. It's just like, okay, I got to start considering, what quality of life I want to have in this last part of my life.
Right. Is that what kind of led you to take on that journey, just as you were getting older, or was it just because?
Yeah, it was just because I'd always had an interest in maybe being vegetarian or veganism or plant-based wasn't really the thing I dabbled in before. I'd been a vegetarian before for 2 years, and I felt a little better doing that. I've always kind of had an inkling to doing that sort of thing, but it was just one day, man, and moving out to the city of Ontario at the time. There are a lot of dairy farms and a lot of animals around, and I would drive past them every day, and I had to deal with the smells, deal with all of that, and I would just kind of be like, man, I'm eating this, and it started weighing on my conscience, and then one day I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna try to stop. I'm just gonna stop. And I mentioned it to my wife, and she was like, "Let's do it." And having her on board and so enthusiastic about it, and getting no pushback, it was just like, okay, it made it a lot easier. And when we started, and I started seeing the health benefits, that's when I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna try to stick with this long term.
Nice, nice, nice. So how long has that been?
It's going on 6 years now.
Oh wow, that's a long
Yeah,
time, man. Yeah, you're
yeah,
full on plant. Like ain't no
yeah.
going back now. Like you locked in.
Right. Yeah,
Okay, that's dope.
I'm
That's dope. Now let's get to that. Let's get to the second part of that, right? So plant based is the first part. Father of seven. Now I'd say seven is more than anybody else so far on the podcast. So you are right now the king of fathers. Like you the head. Well, I've had a grandfather on. I have my dad. That episode hasn't come out yet, but I have my dad on. But as far as like numbers, you got it, man. You the champ right now. So tell me about that, man. Seven kids.
Well, I started early. I started when I was just a kid, basically. And I had three really, really early in life, biologically. I moved out to California, started doing my thing here, and I built a whole new family here. I got married and had two with my wife, who are much younger than my other kids. And then she had two from a previous marriage, so with my two stepchildren. So altogether, it's seven.
Nah. Okay. Okay. So you said really young. How was that becoming a? Because I mean the guys on here and fathers in general struggle with it. I was 29 and I had my struggles with it. How was that like having a child really young?
Um, you you don't really. Well, I'm just going to speak for myself. I know probably a lot of men can identify with this, but I'm gonna make it personal. It's just that I didn't really realize the the magnitude or the importance of having children and what that really meant for what my responsibility was and what my role was in their life. Only thing I was concentrating on was getting money, building some type of legacy for them. I still wanted to be a rock star. That was all that was in my mind. So I missed a lot with my early kids. And to be quite honest, my relationship with two of them is just not, it's pretty much non-existent at this point. And it's something that it bothers me to this day. Of course, I'm still trying to work on it. It's going to take a lot to repair that. Me and my first, we had a period where we were clashing a lot. And now she's like my best friend. It's like it's crazy. We talk every day, and we share memes all day, and we're in constant communication. We're just so much alike, and she's a music artist as well. Um, thank God, those things can be repaired, it can be worked out over time. But at the time when I was, a new father, it was just I didn't get it. I didn't get it, and especially when things weren't working out with their moms, I was just, like, hey, I gotta go do this, I gotta do this, I can't, you know. And that was that I want to provide for them thing kicking in, but I didn't realize there's all sorts of other things to that too, the protection, all of that. That I kind of lost sight of that being so young, and because of that, man, I missed so much because the stuff I'm seeing now with my two younger boys, man, I wouldn't trade in those moments for anything. And I wish I would have been there for a majority of those moments with my other children as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's never too late, right? Like there's always time for it. I was talking to somebody the other day, and his kind of came back together through a tragedy, but they were able to kind of start building that relationship, 20 years later. Um, And so I would just say, man, there's still time. Like you're still dad, regardless of the situation. And it is, it's not. I don't think that it's going to be easy. But you continue to be hopeful and pray on it, and things will happen exactly the way God planned them.
Right.
Okay, so you got the three older, you got the two youngest, and then you got I hate using the word steps. You got your
Yeah.
bonus kids, right? And they're all your kids, right? So you
Right.
own. I mean, own. You're a father to all of them. What's the genders, boys and girls? Like what we got?
Oh, we got uh, two girls and the rest boys. Well,
Okay,
yeah. Well, three. I'm sorry. No, see, that's probably seven. Three girls and the rest boys. Three girls, four boys.
okay. All right. Um, so kind of looking back at it, you can see where things are different right now because you're involved and you're present. You're able to be there,
Right.
in a different capacity. Um, how are you kind of different now as a father, other than just being there, right? Like what's your mindset fatherhood wise now versus looking back at obviously back then, right? Build a career. If I become a rock star, then I can go back and take care of them, right? There's always that opportunity. You still on the rock star trajectory, right? You still putting out, music that's on the Billboard charts, right? So that's still happening. But you're also being present. Like what was the shift for you? What kind of changed?
Well, the shift is that now it's not so much important about what I'm doing for me, but more setting them up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm investing more time and more money in what their interests are and what they want to do. Because I understand it's not only important to to offer them some kind of financial stability or freedom for the future. I mean, that's great. If we can get to that point to where they're set up and they got money to do whatever they want, that's cool. But let's be honest, that doesn't always happen. But what can happen is that while they're young and they're developing and they're figuring out what they want to do in the world, is that I'm putting time and effort into allowing them to cultivate those gifts, giving them a place to express themselves and do this. Oh, you want to play ball? Oh, you want to try basketball? Okay, let me get you in a basketball camp. Stuff like that. Oh, you want to play? You want to play drums? Let me buy you a drum set. Let me get you a teacher. Let me put you in performing arts school. Let me do this. Let's figure out doing those things to help nurture what they're going to do, because they're going to want to build their own future at some point, and I want to make sure that I've been there to help them facilitate that instead of just off trying to make some money, thinking that okay, once you got money, you can do whatever you want to do. If you know if the mind is not right, the mindset's not right, they don't understand hard work. They don't understand uh, uh, how to go out and get things on their own. Your kids can blow that whole legacy away that you leave them. If you
Yeah,
don't,
quickly.
set them up right, set them up with the right kind of mind. So that's what's different for me now, man. It's just like it's about the kids, really. I don't really care to be famous anymore like I was when I was younger. I just want to provide for the family. I just want to do what I love and be able to provide for them. And at the same time, I want to be able to be here with them. I'm not interested in going on any long tours, being out of the country for 3 months, 6 months. No, if I can't take them with me, then no, I'll come for a weekend. I'll come for a week. I might even do 2 weeks, but I got to come home. I got to be home. I love coming home. That's just what it is, man.
Now, was that a kind of a natural transition, like something that just kind of happened over time, or were you kind of more intentful, like kind of taking action to make that happen?
For me, it kind of happened naturally over time. Um, but for some people, it doesn't. But I do think you have to be intentional in that. You have to be intentional to be there, to come home, to be present. It's important for children to see you when they wake up in the morning. It really is. If I could just kind of think back when I was a kid, you know, um, it was important. I mean, I couldn't imagine if I'd have woke up a few mornings and my mom wasn't there. Like, and she's all we had. It would be really weird. It would be really unsettling. And just to think if my father was ever in the home and then one day he wasn't,
Right.
or like, just it's very important just to be present. And when I say present, not just there physically, but present, involved, and have a personal relationship with the kids. And for me, that kind of just happened. Just I don't know, my interest just like wasn't intentional. Just my interest just kind of shifted to them because being here and watching them grow up in such an early age and watching the mannerisms. That's another thing. It was like seeing myself all over again and learning myself. And I was like, oh man, I do that. Oh man, my mother must hate it when it was like I was seeing myself all over again. It's kind of creepy sometimes. It's like you're looking back in the past, but also looking in the future when you're looking at your kids at the same time. And And that was the thing, man. When I saw that, I'm just like, man, I can't miss those moments, man. Those realizations when they first figured this out, or they first learn how to tie their shoes, or whatever it is, man. So,
Yeah.
but to answer your question, yeah, it was kind of a natural progression for me.
Okay. Okay. So you kind of mentioned, seeing them kind of mirroring you, like mirroring what you felt was like a younger you. Um,
Hmm.
and you also mentioned your mom was all you had. What was your relationship with your own father? Like, was Pops around, or did you have any kind of relationship with him?
No, I didn't have much of a relationship at all. I was a side date, so.
Uh,
He was married, and him and my mom, they did what they did, and I'm not mad because I'm here. But
right.
they he I knew who he was. He came around a couple of times. Like Christmas, I would see him one time, and him and my mom was still they were kind of cool. They would sit and talk, and he'd bring me a bike for Christmas or something like that, and then I wouldn't see him again for 2 years. It was little stuff like that. And then when I got a little older, we kind of tried to have some kind of relationship. It was just like I would bump into him places, like I would see him places. Like I worked out at this gym, and it was across the street from a hospital. And he was a security guard for the hospital, and he worked in the guard booth that was directly across the street from the gym. I was going to the gym one day, and he was coming into the gym to use their restroom, and I bumped into him, and then it was like, "Oh, hey, blah blah blah," and then we would connect like that, and then we'd be talking for a week or so, and then all of a sudden it just kind of fade away again. But I got to see him uh, briefly before he passed. I got to meet a couple of my other brothers and sisters on that side of the family, and got to kind of make peace with it. We didn't really talk about it, but it was just a look that we gave each other,
Right.
and me kind of repeating some of the same cycles that he did, and me understanding having children not in the best situation, not being prepared for it, how it can really throw you off track, and nothing is as black and white as we like to make it. I kind of understood, and I let him know I understood, and we kind of had this moment, and it was cool.
Wow. So when he passed away, were you a little older in life? Because that's a very mature. Even though you didn't have the conversation, like that's a very mature understanding. Because a lot of guys don't ever get to that place, right, where they're able to look at it and be like, man, that was not the best situation for him. And so, while I would have wanted him in my life, like I understand the struggle or the turmoil that he might have had in his life, having a family and having like, you know what I mean, to be able to do both, being mature enough to recognize that, um, is all right. Looks like you stopped recording. Looks like that would be tough to work through or to figure out, to understand at a young age. So were you a little bit older when that happened? All right, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah, that was 2010, so about 12 years ago when that happened. Um,
Okay.
and, and and the funny thing about it is, I didn't want to make a long story, but if I could, it was weird the way it happened, man. Because I was in town for my family reunion on my mother's side, and I had my other two children who I mentioned before. I don't have a great relationship with. They were
Hmm.
with me. I was trying to connect with them. I was back home. Um, my oldest daughter lived in Los Angeles at the time with me, so she was out. She was out in Los Angeles, and so I was back in Louisville, Kentucky, and I had my other two kids with me, trying to bond with them, trying to get some kind of a relationship going after a while, and it was the last day I was going to be in town before I flew back to LA. Something said, call. I need to try to get in touch with my father. They've never met him. I haven't seen him, and I don't know. I don't even remember what he looks like. Some just said, pull over this McDonald's right here and call your mom and see if she has a number on. I pulled over and I called my mother. I was like, "Hey, you happen to have a number on my dad?" Or just she's like, "Yeah, I got a number." She had a number the whole time. I didn't even know. I thought they didn't talk. What? So she had a number, and I called him, and he picked up. He was so excited. He was like, "Oh man, you here? What's going on? Where you at?" I was like, "Well, I was just going to come by and see you real quick. I got two of your grandkids with me, and I just wanted to, come holler at you, whatever, And he was like, "Oh man, come! Where you at right now? I'll tell you where I'm at." And I told him where I was at. The McDonald's was at. He lived right across the street from that McDonald's.
Wow.
So I pulled in. I mean, like literally, I could see his house. He was like, "There's a blue house. You see that truck parked that side?" I just turned, looked, and his house was right there. I was like, "Oh, okay." So I went to his house, and I'm kind of tearing up talking about this, man. I'm bad. But I pulled in and went to the house and met two of my younger sisters. Who he was still having kids. He was like 70, so he was still having kids, man.
Oh wow.
So so I met two of my younger sisters. His a longtime companion, his girlfriend. They had been together for years. I guess he just said he wanted to get married again. They've been together forever because she knew me when I was a baby. And um, from there, we went over to my oldest brother's birthday party. It was his birthday. So he brought me with him over to my oldest brother. That's where I met some other family. I met my niece for the second time, one of my sister's kids, because she ran the daycare. I used to take because this kid came in, right? And my son, who was with me, they dapped each other up. They was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" They ain't seen each other well. I was like, "Where y'all know each other from?" They went to daycare together. And at daycare, my sister's kid, my niece, ran that daycare. And I used to see her every day, drop my son off to her. I didn't know that was my niece. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so it was a really emotional day. I'm getting emotional talking about it. I don't talk about it a lot. It was a real emotional day. Um, we made peace that day. He was healthy. He looked fine. Well, he looked fine. Smoking cigars, walking his own, driving. He was very energetic. Had no problems getting around, no problems breathing. I didn't see anything that would indicate to me that he was having health issues. And then, he passed away, and a couple of months later, and had I not pulled over and went that day, I would have never seen him before that happened.
Right.
So it's kind of like a God thing to me. Like, why would I pull over? Why would I have that thought at the time I was right by his house? Why would I pull over there, right by his house, and all that happened? So yeah, man. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That sounds like an
yeah.
emotional event, man. That's one of those like divine intervention kind of things, right? Where it's like you had you had no intention of doing that, right? Like it just wasn't on the radar. Um,
Right.
but then just kind of like one, you hear, you should check in with your dad, and then you're also thinking to yourself, well, my son and got my kids with me, they've never had a chance
Right.
to meet him. Like to then, all right, let me get them the opportunity to meet their grandfather. And then because you were just being obedient in the moment, right? And
Yeah.
because you wanted them to have the experience of meeting their grandfather, you were able to get, these connections and meet some people you haven't met and realize like how closely knit things were. And I,
Right,
I was
man.
I was the guy that I mentioned earlier, who kind of was able to bring his family back together. It was a very similar situation. Um, his his oldest daughter, who he hadn't had a great relationship with, her grandfather on her mother's side was passing away. Had didn't have a long time to live, but they knew that it was coming, so they were, kind of prepping themselves for it. Um, and so he reached out to her. Hadn't had a real conversation to her, but he reached out to her and wanted to connect her with his father because he's still alive. And you're losing a grandfather, but I want to introduce you to your other grandfather, so you still have a grandfatherly presence. And through that, they were able to build their relationship back together because she got a relationship with the grandfather, and kind of like as a byproduct, got a relationship back with their dad, and now they're really close, right?
Oh,
And
that's
it's amazing how God kind of weaves these things together, right? Where he had been trying to build this relationship with no success. Then all of a sudden, like I said, kind of through a tragedy, but it presented an opportunity for him to bridge the gap. And because he was able to do that, and he was just obedient in it, and just wasn't taking it personal, like, hey, I just want you to have a grandfather. I'm not even looking at it for me. I just want you to have a grandfather. Boom. Now they have a relationship that's pretty solid at this point. And the same kind of similar situation happens with you, right? It's like,
right.
one, you're listening. Two, you're like, I want y'all to meet y'all grandfather if I can find him, right? If I can find him, let's make this happen. And
Right.
then not only do you get that opportunity to see your father again before it's too late. You get to meet some siblings, you get to meet the family, like all this stuff kind of happens, and it's just so interesting to me, like how these things kind of like these circles are kind of always happening. Um, but it just comes down to being obedient and kind of figuring out.
Yeah.
Let me just pull over, like let me pull over, right? Because if it don't work, it don't work, right? It already wasn't happening. But if I pull over and I make this phone call, magic might happen, right? And literally being across the street, like how crazy is that,
That's crazy,
right?
man.
Then too, when you call him, he's super receptive to it. Because it could have been
Right.
like, oh no, yeah, no, I haven't talked to you in however long, like I'm not
Right.
interested, whatever. But like super receptive and open, and hey, let's go to your, like all this stuff is like,
Right.
and I mentioned it earlier for you, but then even for him, you calling him, it was like it's not too late for me too. You know what I mean? Like it's not too late for me to make that connection with my son, even though I didn't have the best relationship with him. He was probably like overjoyed, like, oh man, now I get to
Mhm.
connect him with his brothers and sisters. Like
Yeah.
it's just it's one of those things. Like they say, when you become a parent, you never stop becoming a parent. When
Right.
you become a father, you're always a father. You're a father forever. No matter how strained the relationship may be, no matter how old you may be, when you get that opportunity to be a father in whatever moment, like just light up. You know what I mean? Like, oh man,
Mhm.
like I love when my kids, they call me to do something, even when it's something like I'm annoyed, like, yo, I don't stop calling my name. But I think about it like pretty soon they're gonna stop asking me to do stuff for them, and they're gonna figure it
Right.
out on their own. So I'm like, all
Right.
right, let me get in here and kill this fly real quick. You know what I mean? Like it's just the little stuff that you don't you kind of take for granted, you know.
Yeah.
But those opportunities are there, and it's important for us to always, kind of take them serious, even when they're not serious, you know.
Right.
Oh man, so that's that. I'm glad. I appreciate you sharing that with us. I could tell it tugged on you a little bit. I appreciate that. Um, okay, so you get to kind of make that connection. You enjoy that time. Um, let's fast forward. Let's get back to where we are now. So you got the two boys, two girls with you right now that live with you.
Well, I have my the two youngest boys, and then my third third oldest daughter is back here. My stepdaughter. but yeah, she moved back in not too long ago. Um,
Okay.
she's a young lady trying to figure it out. Just recently graduated high school and trying to find her way and stuff. So we're trying to guide her.
Okay. Okay. Now I gotta ask you because I only have girls. What is it like, having sons, little micro versions of yourself? Like I can look at my girls and I see them do things that I do. I see them say things the way I say it, and some of it's like they're watching me and picking it up, and some of it they're just doing naturally, like they just have my
Right,
personality.
right,
But it's got to be a little bit different to have not only have your personality and some of your mannerisms, but like to look like you too. What
right,
what
right.
man? What is it like, kind of parenting yourself?
That's exactly what it is. You took the words out of my mouth, man. It's like parenting me. I mean, it's just like sometimes I want to call my mom and apologize, like for for little stuff. I'm like, man, I know that got on y'all nerves, or call my aunt. And you know that time that you went upside my head. I understand now. I still don't agree with you why that you did it, but I understand why you went upside my head because I can understand how this could be annoying or this that. It's just funny, man. Just watching them just do so many things, and like you said, some of it may be picked up, but some of it is just innate, and it's like you can't teach them that. Like it's little things like my father wasn't around, right? But I noticed when we were sitting at my brother's, at my sister's house at the party, I was sitting a certain way. Then I looked over at him and his legs and crossed. He was sitting exactly the way that I am. And I see stuff like that happen with my sons. It's like this stuff that I didn't teach them. It's just they chew this way because their structure, their face is just like mine, so they're going to chew. Or they do certain things. They listen to music a certain way. They do things just those things, man. It's like I said earlier. It's like looking in the past at myself, being able to see myself as a kid, but also, you recognize that they're going to be here long after I'm gone, God willing, and that's the future, So it's man, it's amazing, man. I can't even put it into words, man.
Yeah, yeah. So when you and this is something that I work through. When you're looking at them and you see, like you said, kind of see the past, like see yourself. Are you trying to parent them like you wish you would have been parented, or you just are you do you have like your own style? Because for me, like I'll let, for example, like my mom has a style and my dad has a style, and they were separated, and so I got moms most most of the time I got my mom's, and then when I went to my dad was like ruling with an iron fist kind of dude, right? So I have things that I like that my mother did and things that I hated, right?
Mhm.
And the same thing, like I have things that my dad did. And so what I do is I try to take parts of both and blend them with my own special sauce, right? But
Right.
I don't think either one of my girls are like me enough where I want to try to parent them like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're so like me but so different. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I try to
Right.
like give them their own little sauce of parenting. Um, but do you feel like you're parenting you and like in the way you wanted to be parented?
That's a good question. I think maybe subconsciously I am. Um, I know that one thing I loved about my mom, I tried to do intentionally, is to let them have freedom to express themselves any way that they want to. I don't want to tell them they can't do something, or as long as they're not hurting anybody or being disrespectful or anything like that, I let them do what they want to do. I remember my son Issa used to dress up in costumes everywhere. Like we go to church, he'd be in a Ninja Turtles costume, and I wasn't about to tell him, "This is church, you can't wear that." I let him wear it, and the church was cool with him wearing it, and he'd be in the aisles praising in a Ninja Turtle costume. He'd be doing little martial arts moves and stuff. It was the craziest little thing, but I wanted him to be able to express himself like that and not feel like he was constrained. that is one thing. But then one thing I didn't have, because I didn't have a strong masculine figure around when I was growing up. I didn't have anybody to kind of teach me how to, do things like look a man in the eye, stand up, shoulders back, stand up straight, stop mumbling, say what you want to say, communicate properly, say. So sometimes I could be a little stern, with them and try to get them to, to be young men, or to learn how to assert themselves and when to assert themselves, when to yield, how to do things on their own, like, take out the trash, or, yeah, you might be afraid of the dark, but you need to go down there and figure it out. There's lights in the house. Figure out how to get down there. I can't always do it for you, so just little stuff like that. Those are things I didn't have, and I do that intentionally as well. So,
Yeah,
so
I
I
like
guess,
that.
yeah,
I like that.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
it is intentional. It's like I'm trying to parent them the way I wished that I was parented. That's true.
yeah. Hey man, the church says come as you are, right? So Ninja
Right.
Turtle, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, come as you are. He's in the aisles praising the Lord. That's what we want, right?
Right.
But I like that because, you know, allowing him to explore, right? Because I think like a lot of times in our generation, our parents kind of like put us in a box. Like you
Yeah.
speak when spoken to. Kids are to be seen and not heard. Like, we weren't
Mhm.
able to like really express ourselves somewhat, right? To some degree, right? And so some people took that first opportunity as adults and went
Yeah.
crazy,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So I'm trying like, and I kind of do the same thing. Try to like give them freedom to express themselves, like and not crazy, right?
Right.
Whatever that
Right.
is, whatever crazy is, right? But like
Right.
within some boundaries of like, okay, let's be responsible, let's be respectful, let's be all these things. But like, okay, how do you feel right now? How did that make you feel? Right? Like,
Right.
okay, I came in, you got in trouble, right? Now let's talk about it. Because in reality, when they're adults and something happens, they're gonna have to be able to talk it through, right? Not just somebody told you to do something, so you got to do it, and then that's it.
Hmm.
Like you don't have any feelings about it, right? Um, so I told you what to do. You do have to do it, but let's see how you feel about it. Maybe we can go about.
Right.
Maybe I can do this thing where I can explain it better to you, what I really mean when I say this, so that you understand it, so I don't have to say it no more. You know what I mean? So I don't have to get on you the next time because you understand why I'm saying what I'm saying, as opposed to me just saying things at you. It's one of the things that I try to work on. But it's tough because when I say that, they hear that, but then sometimes they want to talk, they want to express themselves like right now. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm still. We gonna come back to that. You got to be quiet for right now. We're gonna come back to you expressing yourself because you're teetering on disrespect right now. Um,
Right.
and they're still young, right? And so I'm trying to keep that kind of in control because I know when they're teenagers, everyone in the world is already said, wait till they're teenagers, right? So I'm already expecting that to come, and I don't want it to
Mhm.
be where like they're expressing themselves at me now, and then as opposed to expressing themselves to me. You know what I mean? Where
Oh,
they're saying, saying how they feel as opposed to like uh cussing me out or something, and then then I got to
right.
go to jail. And, I don't want that kind of stuff. Gotta send them on back to the Lord early. Like,
Right.
I don't look. They say not to question you, but your will is your will, Lord. And if you want them back now, you can have them, right? Um, but yeah, that's the interesting thing because I always wonder, and I asked my dad this: did he ever think about? Because I remember one time. Okay, let me story time real quick. Uh, I played baseball and football all through my whole life, right? I was decent at baseball, better at football. But so I transferred my sophomore year to a school that's a much, much better baseball school. Like way better. Not as good a football school though. But I'm playing better football than I am baseball at the time. And my dad's like, kind of pushing me to play baseball and he's, taking me to the batting cages when I go to his house and all this stuff, right? Um, but I ended up quitting the baseball team. I End up quitting the baseball team. And he comes to pick me up one weekend. I have to break the news to him. So we're
Mm.
driving, and I tell him, and he, he immediately gets upset, right? He's pissed off. And he says something to me, and I don't know. I blacked out, right? I blacked out, and I remember hearing myself say, "I know what I'm good at. Stop telling me what to do." And when I finished being blacked out, my lips were swollen. Like he, you know how you like when your mom hit the brakes and she throw that arm across your chest to stop you from going through the windshield. It was one of those, but there was the back of his hand caught all of my face, and I was like, "Damn, I shouldn't have said that." Like all I could do was hold my face because my lips felt like they were out here. Hold my face and just endure, like tears in my eyes. Everything was all blurry, and
Right,
just be quiet for the rest of the ride. But so I don't want one of those situations, right?
right,
But I
right,
often think like, is there a way that he could have said whatever he was saying to me and allowed me to explain
right.
why I didn't want to play baseball anymore? One, it was getting a lot harder because I was at a much better school and a much better conference. This is how good our team was. We had 3 guys get drafted out of high school. We
Oh
had a
wow,
we had a pitcher that was throwing 97 with his right, 93 with his left. Like
oh,
we
that's
had
crazy.
we had, and he wasn't one of the guys that got drafted out of high school. So the team had gotten significantly better, and I wasn't with my mom. I wasn't going to batting cages. I wasn't going to hitting lessons. I wasn't doing any of the extra work that these guys were doing. So I was falling behind,
Oh
right? So
gosh,
I could see that, and I didn't just want to continue to be unsuccessful. So I was like, you know what? I'm out. And now as an adult, I get he didn't want me to be a quitter. He wanted me to try to figure out how to work through it, how I could be better. He probably wanted to insert himself into helping me be better, right? Like I took that away from him because us going to the batting cages or whatever that we used to do was good, like quality time. And I immediately took that away from him without his consent. So I can see where he was upset. But I'm always thinking, is there a way that we could have father to young son talk that through without my lips
right,
being swollen? You know what I mean?
right.
Like, and so I'm trying to create that dynamic now so that I can have those conversations with my daughters when something comes up and it's not a comfortable conversation and it's something that, I'm going to have feelings about, they're going to have feelings about, but we can have a conversation that helps us. Um, and I don't know if I'm doing it right. I guess I know when I get there. I'll know when that time comes, but I'm just trying different stuff, right? Just trying different little things like, I didn't, maybe I went too hard or not. I didn't go hard enough. And I'm kind of playing that juggling act right now.
Hmm.
Um, as someone with older, like the older children, do you think that, not the oldest, all right? Well, you have a daughter now that you have conversation with, that you have a
Yes,
relationship with. Um, how is navigating that kind of stuff when there's tough conversations to have? Are you still like dad having a conversation at your kid? Are you having like, because they're, as an adult, right? You're 2 adults, but you're still
right.
father, right? Are you able to have those kind of conversations?
Yes, and I'm always going to be dad, but I do recognize that she is an adult, so I speak with her with the same respect as I would any other adult. I don't, talk down to her, even though she knows I'm her father. If she's coming to me for advice or to get my angle on something, I still, I'm respectful. I treat her like this is her life, it's her decision. You know, this is what I would do, or this is what I think is best for you, or this is how I see it. But whatever you do, whatever you decide to do, I'm here. I'm supporting you. I just, this is where I see. I don't want to see this happen to you. This is what happened to me. This is how blah blah. Me and your mom, and blah blah. I'll give her examples and stuff like that. But I never talk like I'm an authoritarian or she's a little kid under my supervision or anything. I give her the free reign to make her own decisions as an adult. And I'm here for counsel and all of that and support. Whatever decision she decides to make. And because I treat her like that, our relationship has just grown and just blossomed into something really beautiful. When for a long time it was really contentious and there was a lot of guilt and blaming and a lot of that stuff. Like we hardly ever have disagreements and argue anymore. Even when I tell her something she doesn't want to hear, she actually listens. And she might be like, "Well, I gotta go," and she'll hang up. But then she'll call me the next day, and it's like we never had that disagreement. And then she usually ends up doing what I advise her to do. So that's great. Can't say the same for her and her mom. They act, man, but but that's because her mother, as her baby, and she's had her whole life, and they still relate like mom and little kid, But she's a grown woman now. She's in her 20s. It's like got to let her, make her own decisions and allow her to mess up, allow her to make some mistakes, and see for herself. It's going to happen. I mean, you got to think about it. Like I was telling her one time, like you and I, I was 19, you were 20 when we had her. I mean, we had no business doing what we were doing. And that was our second pregnancy. We lost the first one. The first one, I was in college when she, and I'm like, what was I doing? God, I'm trying to go to college. We were the first one in my family to go to college. I had a scholarship and all this stuff. And I got a baby on the way. What was I thinking? And where were the people around telling us, hey, you guys can't be spending the night and doing all this stuff? But it was just like, man, and I'd been with her since I was 15. It was just crazy, man. And to think, but we made those mistakes young and we did those things. And I got to kind of remember that when I'm speaking to my older kids. Sometimes it's like, okay, I'm here to tell them, what can happen and try to show them the pitfalls and everything. But I got to understand that they're going to do some things. They're going to mess up, man. You got to allow them the freedom to do that. Hopefully they don't do too much damage, but you got to be there for them to help them pick up the pieces when they do. So.
Yeah. I think even though they're going to make some of those mistakes and have some of those pitfalls, having like you said, someone around, right? Someone around to kind of, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that. Go ahead and do it if you want to, but here's what I would do if I were you, right? Like being able to at least have someone outside of the situation who cares about their well-being, give them some input on it, right? Not tell them what to do, but just, hey, hey, I care about you. Maybe you shouldn't do that. Okay, go ahead and do it. But just remember, I think that's really helpful, and it's always nice to have, even when you don't like it, right?
Right.
Even now, my mom and dad will say stuff, and I'll be like, "Come on, bro. Come on. Look, I'm full grown now. I've been grown for a long time. Yeah, I know what I know what I'm doing. I know what I can do. I'm smarter now, though. I say that inside. It's still inside.
Right.
And I just let them do their thing, and then I go do whatever I'm gonna do. But I always value my dad's opinion, right? I'm always going to when it's something that I feel like maybe is bigger than me, or is something that I feel like he has a better grasp on, right? He's obviously been a father a lot longer than I've been a father. He got 2 daughters, and he's been through this before. So he can kind of give me some game on it. And I may not agree with how, because I was around, I know what was going on. I may not agree with how he handled it. And it's funny to talk to him now. I don't know what happened. I always tell him he got soft. But it's funny to talk to him now about stuff to do with his grandkids, and then think about the stuff he did with us. I'm like, I ain't lining up.
Right.
But he's very he's very wise when he talks about the grandkids, right? And with us, it was like, do what you're told kind of thing, right? but I always like going to him and kind of asking him and seeing what he says, and then I'll laugh to myself about like how nice it is when he he says stuff about them. Um, okay, so let's do this. You got 7 done, finished, yeah. Okay.
Finish. I need my one omega. That means the last. So
Yes, sir.
I
Yes,
did
sir.
it on purpose to remind myself every time I say his name. That's it.
All right. So you obviously they're gonna grow up and you're gonna continue to parent them through that. Are you looking forward to, since you've got adult kids? Are you looking forward to being grandpa now?
um, no, and
Okay.
only because I know they're not necessarily ready to be parents yet. That's the only thing. I just want to make sure that they're ready and they understand the gravity of what they'll be taking on being a parent. Because
Mhm.
because that would make it easier for me to be a grandparent and not end up being a parent again. I don't want to be the one taking care of the baby, or I'm sure their mother doesn't want to be the one taking care of because
Mhm.
I don't want any more kids. You know what I'm saying? I want grandkids, of course, but I don't want to have to take care and nurture and raise a whole new baby again. Not while I'm out here trying to still be on the road singing and all of that stuff. So,
Got you. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. I know, like, now my kids are young, so every once in a while we talk about legacy and leaving things to them. We always talking about when I'm a grandpa, I want to just sit back with my grandkid.
right,
I say these things, but I'm not wishing grandfatherhood on myself. I'm just looking
right,
forward to the future. And I'm always
right,
curious as you get older and you get adult children, like you see on TV, you see on movies, people talking about when you gonna give me them grandkids, and I'm always like,
right,
do you really want them to have like, you know what I mean? Why not like let them enjoy their life and grow and mature, and then when grandkids come, they come. That timing will be right. But like pushing people to get married, pushing people to have kids and all that is it's crazy because kids are super like they require so much of you. It requires so much of a change in your life to like wish that on somebody is almost cruel.
right.
You know what I mean? Like
That's
kids are
true,
a
man.
blessing, but to like wish it on somebody when they're not ready is not cool.
Right.
Right. All right. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I mean, you shared some really really touching moments with us, and I appreciate you kind of giving us an insight to your journey as a father. And that's continuing, right? Because we talked about fatherhood is forever. Um,
Forever.
that being said, what does uh what does fatherhood mean to you?
Fatherhood. When I think of the word father, I think of the word further or farther. And
Mm,
I just want to provide them with the tools necessary for them to go further than I have. You know, I want them to be better at whatever it is I was trying to do or whatever I was trying to learn here on this journey on earth. I want them to be better at it than I am. And I just want to nurture the environment that would allow them to grow into those type of human beings that can take it further than I did. That's what it is. Like passing the baton. That's what it is for me.
I like that. I like that. Father further. Yeah. I like the little play on words too. Okay. Here's my next question for you, and it's a two-part question. First part is you are putting on a show, right? And for this show, it's a special event, um, like an exclusive crowd. You wrote a piece of music that is an original piece that you wrote specifically for this crowd. This crowd is all fathers. Um,
Hmm.
what is the song that you want them to hear? What is the mess? I guess the message of the song that you want them to hear.
Wow. Um, the show must go on. Show must gotta be the song, the message I want to send to him because regardless of the setbacks, regardless of the financial strain, regardless of problems with baby mamas or marital problems or any of that, it don't stop. You gotta keep being a father to your kids. You have to. Doesn't stop. And whatever you can do to try, and I'm preaching to myself, whatever you can do to try to repair those relationships that may have been severed because of a bad relationship with their moms or time or distance or whatever it is, you still got to continue to pray for them every day, even if you don't talk to them. And you got to be the one to make the make the effort, reach out and try to repair things. Show must go on. You can't stop. Bills gonna keep coming, so you gotta keep going out there, going to work. They need your constant protection, your constant providence, your constant arms wrapped around them, your constant love. Just the show must go on. That's it.
Wow, I like it. I like it. Okay, second part to that question. Um, again, you're writing a song. But this song, and I'm a date us both. This song, well, not date us, but this song is gonna go on a CD, right? And we're gonna go, we got a disc man. It's old school disc man. The headphones it's not wireless. It's hooked up. It's got one song on the CD. We got 7 copies of the CD. Each one goes to each one of your kids. What is the song or the message you want them to hear?
Love is a verb. One of my songs I already wrote. Love is a verb. It's not about what you say; it's about what you do. And um, hopefully, they'll know that I love them by my actions and what I did. Even if I didn't show them through affection or through words as much, but my sacrifice, my work, my dedication, and my commitment to trying to lay out a foundation or legacy for them. Hopefully, they'll see how much I love them because my actions. That's all I can leave. Love is a verb.
I like that, man. Action makes it happen, right? Like we can talk
Right.
about it all day, but if you're not taking action, I love that, man. I love that. Dang, I appreciate it, brother. Look, man. I like I said before, celebrity, right? um, so I know your schedule's busy, and I appreciate you taking out the time to talk with us, to share your journey, to talk about fatherhood. Hopefully, one of the brothers is able to hear this and have um, the ability to take action, right? To love as a verb, right? I know I'm going to listen to this episode again and see where I can pick things up and take things and use them. Because selfishly, the podcast is also my opportunity to talk to fathers and their experiences. And I feel like the more the more guys I can talk to, the more experiences that I get to have, vicariously, and then I can parent my children better. So my hope is that other brothers are able to do the same. If the guys want to reach out to you, want to reach out, or where would they be able to find you? I know you're kind of everywhere, but where would you direct them to? Awesome, awesome. All right, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out. I know time is everything when you're a busy dad. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule. Yeah, God bless you, brother. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. All right.